What's going on, everybody? All of my folks, family, and friends, Greater Mount Calvary, those who have just chimed in. This is the day that God has made, and I'm going to rejoice and I'm going to be glad in it. This is day 2000 of being quarantined. It feels like I've been in the house for a long time, but listen, I'm safe. That's what matters. Never mind this face, but know that there's a good person inside of here, okay? No, I'm so glad that you guys have taken the time to tune in on this Monday. We're a little late, got some technical difficulties we had, but it's okay. That's what single people can do. We can do what we want to do. And so I'm excited that you guys have chimed on. You need to go ahead and share this message, share this information. It's going to be a dope conversation. Share it to your homegirls, share it to your homies. Let them know that there are some persons from Greater Mount Calvary that's going to have some practical conversation about our reality. Nobody can tell us about our reality but us. And so we're excited to have some dope individuals. I kind of spread it out throughout the generations. And so I think it's going to be an interesting conversation. So let me first start off with the mother of the bunch. Let's shout out Miss Cheryl. How you doing, Miss Cheryl?
Yeah,
I'm glad to have you. We're excited to have you here.
it's exciting to be a part.
Okay, well, we're looking forward to it. Hey, we never know. You may find a Boaz after this. Look at God. I'm just playing. I'm just
Woo!
playing. Hey, then next we have our my sisters on the line. Miss Felicia, what's going on, Miss Felicia? How you doing?
Good. How are you? How are you? Can you hear
Doing
me?
great. Yes, we can hear you. You're looking dope. We're excited for the conversation. And then I
Yes,
got
I'm very.
my little brother represent Generation Z. He doesn't want to accept it. G is in the house. What's up, big man?
What's up? What's up? How y'all feeling? I ain't no Generation Z, man. I don't know about that one.
You're very much born after 95. God bless you. And we're looking forward to your perspective on today. And then we have Bree is in the house. What's up, Bree? How are you doing today?
Hey, Pastor Will, I'm doing good. How are you?
I hope your shirt is not a testament to, your singleness. Amen. It's
No,
a
I'm
joke.
over this quarantine. I'm over this staying in the
Oh,
house.
okay. Okay. We love you. Amen. It's going to be a dope time. I'm so excited. And then lastly, but not least, we got the king in the house, King Will, my namesake. Will, what's up, homie?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, we're glad to have you, man. We're looking forward to the conversation. So, for those that are watching, this conversation is about singleness, and we're going to be talking very practically about what it means to be single in the 21st century. And we're going to be dealing with the stigma of being single in the 21st century, the struggles of being single in the 21st century, as well as the successes of being in the 21st century. Listen, this is for the panel. So in 2018, Psychology Today put out an article, The Good Life Living Single in the 21st Century, and it measured happiness and satisfaction with single people before and after they entered the marriage. And contrary to popular opinion, the results showed that individuals that were not happy or satisfied within themselves and their singleness were equally unhappy and unsatisfied in their marriage, which means that marriage is not the cure to dysfunctional singleness. All right, so I think that that's a good segue to just simply let's just throw it out there for anybody who want to answer. In the 21st century, what is your definition of singleness or single? What does it mean to be single? Let's start with you, G, Generation Z. What do you think single means?
I feel like being single in the 21st Generation Z time is just really being a person who knows themselves, who knows how to be alone per se. Not saying that you have to be alone, but it's good to know yourself, who you are, and really just get to know every aspect about yourself, because you're not going to be ready for anyone else until you know yourself fully first.
Okay, all right. What about you, Felicia? What does it mean to be single?
Singleness in the 21st century to me is traveling, being free, no kids if you don't have kids, but don't have to, check in 24/7. I'm not doing that.
Okay. So singleness for some people simply means not married. What about you, Bree? What does it mean for you, singleness? Because you know everybody got definition out here of what they think singleness means.
For me, it's twofold. I think getting to know yourself is one aspect of it and learning who you are, loving yourself. But another aspect of it is, like she said, not checking in, not having to tell nobody when you're ready to go. Don't report to nobody at the end of the night, who you going, where you going. Just doing you. And
Okay,
however that
all right.
doing you.
All right, Will, you want to add to that?
Yes, you own your own schedule. You don't have to check in. So if I want to work late, like today I'm working late, and then before COVID, I would go straight to the gym, and I might spend 2 hours at the gym. And if my time was my time, and it was all
Okay.
about me.
All right, that's what's up, Miss Cheryl.
Well, you can look at it from different aspects. For me, being single, it's being content, happy. And it's for me, it's not so much as having to check in, because being single, you're your own self person anyway, you know. And
Okay.
sometimes it is good to check in, being
Okay.
single, because of the simple fact that who's to say you're okay?
Okay. So y'all all are very deep today, okay? Because I'm looking at singleness. I'm not married, period. Right? But there are some people who think that singleness, I heard somebody say that I can, if I'm with somebody and I'm in a relationship, then that means that I'm no longer single. But the devil is a liar. My definition of being single is you are not married, period. Okay? Y'all can be together for 30 years. You can be in love and mushy mushy. But the reality is there is no marriage, then you're single. So let's deal with the stigma that sometimes surround being single. Now, we are Christians in the church. So, our dynamics are kind of different than other persons. So let's deal with what that means let's start with you, Will. Being in the church and being an older male, what are some stigmas that come with just being single out here for us, brother? Represent well, please.
Well, so a lot of times you're expected to have a lot more wisdom. You're expected to, the stigma is that you're still trying to play around or play the field, where for me, those days are over. I am looking more towards a marriage solution, something I've desired for a long time, to expand my family. I got a unique situation, but I think it's probably similar to a lot of people in the DMV area that I have a daughter. So, I always have to make sure that I act somewhat according. Well, I do act accordingly, but you always try to act accordingly because, at some point your daughter's going to find out all the skeletons that were in your closet or whatnot. They're going to come to surface. And, I meet way too many people on the street that, when you listen to the story, you're like, wow, man, your dad did that. And you're like, wow, okay. And I don't want to be that type of father. So, of course, I always try to do better. But I think that one of the stigmas, being older is that, you're too picky. I think that a lot of times, we get the bad rap of you're being too picky. Nobody's perfect. And I'm like, yeah, I totally agree. Nobody's perfect. But, I think now everybody's come to a point where we all have choices. And some of these choices we're unwilling to compromise on. And I think that's one of the hardest things. So that would be one of the signals that I get as a 40 plus old man.
So you're a man in the church. Naturally, either something is wrong with you, something may be wrong. They may say sexuality wise, or either you are tearing up all the women in the church. There's no safety ground. You've got the dynamics of it. Miss Cheryl, can you speak to that? You're a grandmother. You got a lot of dynamics in your life. What are some stigmas that surround you as a woman in the church?
As a older woman in the church, a lot of people are like, oh, well, you being divorced and what have you. Maybe it's something you did, something wrong with you. And being single, people always ask me my age, well, what's wrong? Don't you just want a man? It's not so much as a man. I'm looking for that godly man. And it's the pickings are thin. And another stigma is because I don't dress like I'm an old woman. They try to say, well, what you trying to do? And I'm like,
Mm.
what do you mean what I'm trying to do? I'm just enjoying the way I dress. So
All
that's
right.
another stigma. Yeah.
That's what's up. I find that there are not a lot of happy people that put on stigmas. I feel that most persons that put stigmas on try to allow us to feel as miserable as them. But I
Yeah.
got some whole singles today, and this conversation is already becoming dope. So let's deal with this dynamic. So, a lot of things that you guys mentioned was somebody, can y'all mute y'all phones? Somebody got a lot of static in the back. I understand we single in the house, but it's still a little noisy. Amen. God bless you. Now, look, so a lot of people talk about dating and courting, right? So I want to deal with one, what's the difference between dating and courting? And then two, can you date more than one person? All right, so let's go. G, what's your take on dating and courting?
Dating, of course, is the more serious aspect of any relationship. Courting is just, to me, it's just like you just going from, person to person and just doing you free spirited sort of actions and things of that nature. You're just thinking for yourself. You're not really thinking for you and the other person. Whereas dating is a cohesive mindset. So both of y'all are thinking the same. Both of y'all are moving the same. Or if you're not, you helping the other person when they need it, or even when they don't need it, just because you do have that affection for them in that dating manner.
Okay, so Bree, is that coincide with your definition of dating and courting? Which one goes before the other?
I think courting goes before dating. Courting, you can choose who you want to talk to, when you want to talk to. If you want to cut them off tomorrow, you can cut them off tomorrow. But I think dating, you're on one accord. We in this, but we looking for the long haul.
Okay, Felicia, you are an entrepreneur. You got a lot going with yourself. What do you think is most important in this stage of your life, courting or dating? Or do you do both?
Courting. I think courting is more intentional. It's under the cuspice of church, God, Jesus, doing it right. So I think in my range as 31 is courting. I'd rather court.
Okay, growing up, I never understood the difference of the two. It just I like you, and if I don't want to talk to you, good night, right? So let's deal with the psychology today with being in the church. You know about being holy and all these dynamics, but you go to the movie with one, go to eat with another. Is there problematic to date more than one person in the 21st century? Talk to me, Miss Shirley. Mother, you talking? We can't hear you though.
I have my phone muted. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
My age group, we would say no. We would say no, because when you were dating someone, and dating and courting for us was the opposite. So you're just dating somebody, you just dating. Courting would mean for us would be you were getting to that next level. You're getting ready to be married. Okay.
Oh.
So you all have it twisted. But when we were coming up, you were just out there dating. But when you start courting, you're getting ready to marry this individual. All of your attention is on that one person. So I would say no. We would just date one individual at a time, because you're opening yourself up, your emotions. Okay. And if you're dating more than one person, then you open yourself up to all these different emotions, and you become confused. Because if I'm over here dating Tom, and then I go over here and date Mark, and then I go over there and date Steven, I'm gonna forget what I'm supposed to be doing with each one. You know what I'm saying? How am I supposed to be treating him? His emotions are all the way up here. This one over here, he all cool and laid back. I'd be so confused I couldn't see straight.
Right. I think that that's a dope situation. I think that despite of the term courting and dating, we all are saying that there is a process, that there is one perspective that you begin with, That's you getting to know a person, trying to get to kind of connect with an individual. But then there's a more serious, intentional thing that's necessary. So I think that that's critical. So we're going to segue to some struggles. But before this, now we're seeing a lot of gender neutrality. So what used to be woman and man, now we're seeing the opposite. So let's just deal with some controversial topics. Like we see a lot of women are starting. Now, I know this is church, but let me just speak on reality. We're seeing women are now proposing to men. What do you think about that, panel? What do you think about the day and age where now women are getting on their knees and proposing to the brother? Talk to me, somebody.
I'm gonna start
Anybody.
off.
I don't.
Oh, I'm sorry. You go ahead. Go ahead. You got it. You got it. You got it.
Oh, okay. I don't think that's right. I think the man should be a man and propose, step up. The female should just relax. That's not our stance.
Okay. Go ahead, G.
No, I was just gonna say that I feel like that's a part of the tradition, per se. Not even that. That's just how it's supposed to be. Some things, at least that's just me, I feel like are not supposed to change. And as a man, I would want to do that for my soon-to-be wife or fiance, because that's just something that I would want to go down in history and say, I planned this, it went out like this, and it was an amazing night, and she loved it, and then woo woo, and I'd be telling my kids, grandkids, and everybody, because that's our history, that's our legacy, that's how we got started.
Okay. Anybody else want to contribute? Will, take a stab at it.
So it's okay for a young lady to let a man know that, hey, I'm actually interested in you, but I think that it can become too one-sided, and so then you end up carrying the guy, right? And so I definitely think that if a woman wants to let a man know, hey, I'm actually interested in you, hey, why don't we go hang out for the first couple of times, and then after a couple of times or whatnot, if the young lady were to say, hey, you know what, actually, I kind of like sharing time with you, spending time with you, whatnot. I'd like to see what could happen. You let me know what you think about it, and I'm going to sit back and watch. So that way, at least the young lady has approached and let the guy know up front, hey, I'm actually interested in you. And if you're interested, we could take this further. Now, if the guy doesn't reciprocate that, or he doesn't plan, he's not consistent and everything else, well then, yeah, no, it's not going to work. Myself, I'm an alpha male, so that, somebody walking up talking about they're going to propose to me or something like that. I mean, I might start laughing about that.
I think that I bring that out, which I think everybody naturally would go to the answer, no, right? But in the 21st century, when we see a higher percentage of women in institutions more than men, i.e. the church, sometimes there is a shifting happening, and I think I'm speaking to a struggle. So for those that are watching, I'm not condoning any of this. I'm a what they call a moderator, and I'm kind of being neutral to kind of provoke a conversation that oftentimes I don't think singles are given in the church. I think naturally people tell us what we should be doing. They tell us how we should think. They tell us what needs to be happening, but it's sometimes contrary from the society that we're living in. So this is just exposing us to this reality. So, Felicia, we're in the church and there's so many women compared to men, and, that's a real struggle. So can you speak on that struggle, on them telling you now you got to hide, but now you've been hiding for 30 years and nobody's coming to get you, Ruth? So tell me about that. Go ahead.
I mean, that's a real struggle. I mean, you're competing. I don't know. I really feel that the man is going to find you, but you just have to be in your purpose in the right field. But someone's going to take you to that field. I don't think you're going to find it on your own. So if you're covered with mentors, they're going to eventually get you to the place on your own. Especially if you're voicing it. If you're saying you're single and you want to get married, somebody's going to put you in the right field.
Okay, because naturally, Bree, when you were growing up, they said hi, and then now you've been hiding, and then when the brother come around, you don't speak. Or, then you're lost in the choir section, and then nobody know your name. How important do you think is the balance of kind of, showing that you're interested and not being pressed? Let's deal with that struggle.
I think for me personally, I do struggle with both because on one end, I want to like find someone, but at the same time, I don't put myself in the position to be ready to find someone. So I think you have to put yourself in the place to be able to be found. But at the same time, when you get in that place, you have to do it the right way, set standards and go about it in the right way and not have yourself on like the back burner and hide in the way because you're not going to be found if you're always hiding. So you have to be ready. So I think for me right now, that's what I'm trying to do, like work on myself and find out who I am, but also put myself out there so I can be ready for the person when the time comes. So.
That's good. And just to any single woman out there, they may not be at the church, right? Everybody may not be at that particular location. So it's important for single persons to be versatile and being exposed to different places. Now, they would not be in sinful locations. We're not going to go there. Amen. But if they're a Christian, they may be at your job or at your school. Just kind of open up yourself to be receptive to who God is bringing your way. I think sometimes we box ourselves in and wonder why nobody's knocking. But sometimes the reason why nobody's knocking is that you're in the wrong location. Okay. So I think it's important as we kind of progress. I hope that somebody's watching is interested. And if you got any questions, just shoot us a question and this panel is able to answer. Let's deal with this concept or this struggle between your timelines and preferences and reality. Okay. So all of us have a preference and a timeline. I see you, Big Will. I know you're coming. And all of us are, writing down what you wanted. You want him to be just like your daddy, and then you want him to be like you want her to be like your mother, and then you get somebody that's completely opposite, and then you say, God, they sent me that, right? You're looking for tall with butter skin, and you get short and fat, right? But if God sent them, should you just accept it, Will, or should you just stick to your timeline on what you want? How important is attraction in being single?
If I'm completely honest, I think that has been probably one of the greatest issues that you will face as a single man is that, you only get one pick, right? And so you want to get that pick right. And I think that the timeline for a number of years, you're like, you know what? I'm not worried about it. I got plenty of time to recover. And then all of a sudden you get to an age where you realize that a lot of your peers have already entered into their first marriages. They've already had families or whatnot. And actually young ladies will have this too, where, and now that I'm over 40, all of my peers, when, you start talking about still having more kids, they look at me crazy. Like, hey, you still want more kids? I'm like, yeah, I do. And so you realize that a lot of your peers now are no longer potential candidates because you still want a family. And they don't, right? And actually, it's a funny story is that this year alone, I've met at least 2 young ladies that were roughly my age that both, when they got close to 40, hadn't had any children, and they decided to have a child by themselves by going to a fertility clinic. And that kind of story just like really like, you're like, wow, man, because, I on one hand, you can understand the want of to be a parent and all that kind of stuff. But on the other hand, as a single parent myself now, I'm like, oh, I could never do that, right? Only because I know the struggle, and like, I was just telling somebody, I still got 13 months to pay child support, you know what I mean? So I think that for me, the timeline was something that I didn't pay close attention to. And then I would tell anybody that's like, Felicia, I know Felicia, you're in your early 30s. I would say, hey, look, what, if you're serious about it, I would really engage in the early 30s so that you don't. And if you find somebody and you got questions and you're on the fence, I mean, we've all been there. Jump off the fence if you got questions. If you can't feel like you're going to resolve them, because, once you're in supposedly for life. And that's just a hard, I think none of us, the only person I think you said that's been married is Cheryl, but I think none of us would want to get into a marriage only to have to get divorced 5 years later with 2 kids or whatever, a house, and have to divide the house. And now you got a custody battle and fighting. Nobody wants that. So yeah. I'm all about getting it right up front.
I think, Will, you said something so profound because unfortunately we've come into a society where the hashtag goals is marriage, where nobody cares about being prepared all you want is something to check off your box for somebody to love you, and then you come in a relationship broken and unhappy, unfulfilled, and then you manage this, and then you end up with somebody, and now you hate them. Now there are children involved. So I think that this panel is so rich because there's somebody that's been married, there's somebody that's had a child, there's some persons that have not even reached 25, there's another person, and we're in our 30s, which means that singleness is not just one group of people. It's not just young people over there sitting on the side of the church. Majority, half of our church is single. Majority of the churches in this season is single. And so I think, Michelle, let's deal with this essence of the distinction between being attracted to somebody and being in the purpose of God. How important is attraction? Do you got to like, do they got to look like something, or is it okay with whatever God's saying? Go ahead, talk to me.
Okay, it depends. Okay, because let me give it an example. I had this great idea. He was fine. Oh yeah, I knew what I wanted, right? But when I met this other guy, I normally date tall guys. I'm tall. So I met him. He was short, little stocky, and I'm like, oh Lord, is this what you sent me? I'm like, Lord, that is not what I asked you for. But he was a very nice guy, and he had children, right? But it didn't work out, okay, because that there was a stigma again there. I was divorced, he was divorced, but there was another issue, the other woman. You know how guys go out and they'll have that other woman with them other kids?
Some guys,
Yeah.
black men don't cheat. Go ahead.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, yeah, you want Mr. Tall, Dark, and Handsome, but sometimes the Lord may not send Mr. Tall, Dark, and Handsome. He may, like you say, may be short, a little stubby, but he may have that God-like character, and you can overlook it. But now you've got the men, they're like, oh, if you're not in your stilettos, this, and so, and you looking around like, okay, Lord, did I miss you? What's going on? So it can be very confusing. So
Okay.
I'm like, okay. So I put myself in different areas. I hang out with different churches and a
Okay.
different age group. Yeah. So you may want Mr. Tall, Dark, and Handsome, but Mr. Tall,
Okay.
Dark, and Handsome that you see may not be what God wants you to have.
Okay. I got one more question on this subject. And so y'all telling me that, gee, God gonna send you somebody that got good character, but they ugly. Stop it.
No,
Stop it. You gotta
not
wake up.
necessarily.
You gotta wake up and wake your eyes and see what's going on, right? So, gee, tell me in your generation, like how important it is. You gotta have purpose. Of course, you gotta have who God is sending you. How important is character or attraction in your generation?
Oh man, not specifically speaking for myself, but I just know in my generation, attraction is everything. Everybody wants a certain type of a female or other that they like because they've seen it either on social media, and social media plays such a big role. I feel like in our generation these days, because you look at this, she looks like this, so I want my girlfriend to look like this, or you might see a rapper that you like and his girlfriend looks like so and so, and you're like, okay, I want to try to emulate that in my daily life, even though I'm not a rapper or star, but I still want a female like that sort of thing. So I feel like attraction is definitely most likely the number one aspect in finding a significant other, because so many people are not with the church. Some people are without Christ, so to say. But me for myself, I try to mix both of the two. So, God, help me out, help brother out a little bit, give me some attraction with the godly aspects and with everything I want to have in my future wife, hopefully.
Okay, well, you guys are amazing. I got one more subject and then we're done. But let's deal with some successes, right? So I think it's important that the world knows that our whole lives are not spent looking for marriages, right? To be single is to be whole and to be secure in what God is doing in this season right now. So just because you're currently single does not mean that the world is over. There are a lot of people looking for things, but maybe the timing is not right. and everybody needs to know the security. You know, there is no better person that you can love than yourself. And yes, we know that God will bring you to those persons, but I think it's important for us to model for a generation who may feel suicidal, who may feel depressed, who may feel overlooked, or who may be insecure because nobody has found them yet. We want to provide for them some hope and some tips on successes. Let's hear some success stories as to, in the midst of your singleness, what are some tools or what are some things that you can kind of encourage a single person in this season as it relates to how you have managed to be successful? And we'll give each one of you guys like a 30-second segment, and then we'll get ready to close. Start with you, Michelle. Michelle.
I had to take my mic off. I'm sorry. I didn't put my mic back on.
I'm watching you. That man is looking at you, mother, and that man is struggling right now because you can't turn that phone off mute. Come with us, mother. Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry. Do I have my mute on? Okay, I have my mute on. Okay. Some successes. Be you. Enjoy you. You know, do things that you may not have the opportunity to do. You know, go out, hang out. Enjoy going to movies by yourself. Okay? Because once you enjoy you, you'll be able to enjoy someone else. But if you don't enjoy your company, then how are you going to be able to enjoy the company of another individual? Don't be judgmental. You know, be open to conversation. And, you know, you never know.
All right, that's some good points. Thank you so much, Michelle. Go ahead, Miss Felicia.
Some successes would be travel, get your passport, get some stamps on that thing. Try to fill your passport book. Budget, get a budget, you know, get your finances in order and have conversations. It's okay to, you know, talk to people, and don't be, if you have a lot of different past, you know, relationships, at least you know what you don't like. So now you can start aiming to what you do like, because just because that relationship failed, at least you know what you don't like.
That's good. Go ahead, G.
I know, excuse me, for myself, being single, what really helps me is just, like I kind of stated it earlier, self-reflection, self-discovery, because I want to be comfortable with myself before I'm comfortable with somebody else. Like me, I know personally, I love going out to eat by myself, not all the time, but if I have to, oh yeah, I'm definitely going to go to Busboys and Poets by myself and listen to some spoken word or eat by myself, because I feel as though it enriches who I am, enriches my character, because I'm gaining that knowledge of how I know and how I know how to move, or how I want to move with the potential other. And for me, there's something I live by, a cool phrase I always love to live by is delayed is not denied. And God he always has his eye on you. So just stay the strong fight and just keep on pushing.
You're preaching, man. You say delay is not denied. There's somebody right now that's thirsty, and they're malnourished because they're thirsty. But tell them, G, delay is not denied. God has somebody for you. Stop going and crying over what has never happened. It's spilled milk. Move on and watch God bring you somebody better than they ever been before. So trust God in this season. That's a word for somebody. Just because you're delayed does not mean that you're denied. There's nothing wrong with you. God's still working on you. He got somebody exactly for you in this season. Go ahead, Bree. Talk to him.
For me personally, I'm in the process in my singleness and getting ready to go back to school, trying to figure out ways I can get back in school. So that's something you can do. Also, like G said, just self-reflecting. So for me personally, I know there's some issues that I need to deal with. So I've been trying to figure out and praying about how do I personally deal with some things that I've been dealing with for a while. So I've been trying to figure out ways to deal with those while I'm just by myself and I have no one else to, you know, they'll worry about before I move into something serious. So reflecting, working on me, and furthering my career.
All right, that's dope. Will, go ahead.
Okay, some of the things I've written down, just to piggyback on what Bree said. She said self-reflection. What I wrote down was stress management. A lot of times when you meet somebody and everything is oh so sweet, it's also good, you don't get to see the true character of that individual, but you resource load them with some real stressors, as in COVID, losing a job, watching a parent have to pass or anything like that, and that whole person can change and a whole new person can come out. One of the things I always say is different doesn't mean deficient, and that's something that I've had to learn when I look at people. And I don't want to say you judge them, but you evaluate. Hey, is that somebody that I might be interested in or whatnot? They do something completely different. Me, I'm an extrovert, and I'm 100% scientifically minded. So when I meet the creatives, who are all artistically minded, tad bit of a struggle, right? Because they see things that I don't see. I see the engineering behind it. They see colors and designs and stuff like that, which I can't see, right? I just can't see it. One of the other successes I would encourage everyone to do would be to build your wealth while you're single. A lot of times, like I'm 40, right? So my goal is to work on $500,000 to $1 million in cash in my 401k by the time I retire. I got 20 more years to hustle at it, and that's something I'm going to do. I'm all interested in stocks and investments and stuff like that. I would encourage while you're single to grow your empire now, because once you have a family and you have kids, think about this. Just parenthetically, my child support is roughly $1,000 a month, and I've been paying child support since 2008. So that's clearly over. It's okay. It's okay.
Okay.
But that's $100,000 or more that I've given away, right? It's for a good cause, but just know that once you have children and a family, you take on this next life, this person to share your life with, that, if you haven't already built up your empire first, it's going to be much harder to build it, right? And then I would say the last thing would be, let me just get one more thing in. Yes?
Okay. Go ahead. Go get your one thing out. You on the roll.
My last thing is find something you absolutely love to do. Like, Felicia said, travel, and see if you can find somebody that also loves that too. Like for me, I'm all into sports. I love working out and everything else. I love cycling, so if I were to find a mate, I would hope and pray that she might like one of the things in which I really love to do. And in that way, you always have that thing that you guys can do together, which would just, create a bond that just would last forever. That's just my thoughts on it.
But guys, this is so powerful. One, they talk about all this traveling and this quarantine. Get your credit up, Saints. Okay, so that's important. Right. While you're traveling, make sure you don't travel until you bring that 3 to a 6. Come on, somebody. But I think those conversations that we've had today, and I think that it's important. I'll say this as we leave, that you can be single and not available. There are a lot of people that are single and still got a lot of doors open from a lot of relationships, and you're carrying a whole lot of baggage. So you're dating other people, but you're really dating the same person, just in a different body. So if I can give any advice in this season of quarantine, I pray that while you're quarantined, that you allow yourselves to get that stuff out your closet, get that bitterness out your heart, take that residue of what you've been through, and start rebuilding your life so that you can actually be available for the individual that God wants you to be with. I believe that this is a time to enjoy your singleness. And even when you get married, you will be able to still enjoy yourself. Okay, so thank you guys for joining me on this panel. You guys were amazing. Thank you guys for watching. I hope that this information was dope. Please follow us on social media, and we look forward to everybody on this panel being married in the near future. Amen. In Jesus' name. Y'all be blessed. This is Pastor Will. Have a blessed day. All right, peace.